Hello students, this is the video 2 for discussion of employee list class for the lecture 325-23, and this time we're going to discuss two methods: get instance from file for file reading and print to another file. I just wanted to show you first the file. So my data file looks like this here, one record per line. First name, last name, social security number, number of hours worked, pay rate. First name, last name, social security number, number of hours worked, pay rate, and so on. The file has 7 employees, and if our get instance works correctly, all 7 will show up and print. So I'm gonna do that. First, let me just make sure my test, I just do only part of it. Test list 3. So really this part needs to be commented out for now. Okay, so add block comment, and I'll do this later. Okay, so basically when we pass a scanner to get instance method, which is the second version, this version here was to populate the list from the keyboard. This version we are passing a scanner that's already attached to an input file, and the scanner reads the file and populate the list. So just like before we did, we're going to create a EAL, employee list object, and then we run a for loop or a while loop, doesn't really matter, where we set the index to 0. So as long as there's a next token to be read, and as long as index is less than capacity, we need to add employee to the EAL, which is empty here, and we pass the scanner to a get instance to method of the employee class. And if you remember, we did that last time or the time before, I can't remember, I think time before, that get instance 2, what it does is it reads one line from the file to a scanner called toParse, and then it becomes just like a line to be parsed, and then next will give you the first string, which is the first name. toParse next, this toParse next will give us the second string, which is the last name. toParse next, this will give us the third string, which is social security number. toParse double will give you, next double will give you the hours worked, and toParse next double will give you the rate, and you return that employee. This was demonstrated in the class, so you already know how that works. If not, review those notes and you'll know. Okay, so this loop will exit as soon as I finished all the tokens, which in terms of the files means that I've really reached at this point past Merido and there's nothing else left. Or if a file has more than 100 employees, then index will become equal to capacity, and I'll exit that. And then we'll set the list state to 1, assuming that it's disordered, and it's going to return the EAL. Okay, and this file that I was showing you a minute ago has this path here. It's going to ask me the full path for the file. So I'm going to copy that and use that. So now let's go and see how we're going to test the second version of the get instance, overloaded method get instance that gets the scanner object. So procedure for that has been demoed in the class, that we're going to need a full path to the input file. So we create a scanner called whole line, kb.wholeLine, and then we prompt user to input the full path to the whole file, full path to the input file, and then in this string file name we take the user input, which grabs the entire path to the file name Actually in Mac you could use, you don't have to use next line on Mac, you can use just next because it doesn't allow spaces in the file name. But since we are writing this program from the point of view that it should work on Windows and Mac both, we're going to stick to the Windows script. So we get the file path in this string here, and then we create a file object, and into that file object we pass the file name. So now file name got bonded to the file object, and then we create a scanner fread and we pass the file object to it. And then actually life is very simple, because in order to create our EAL employee list object, I just call the get instance method from there and pass the fread. So then the code is going to jump to this method here, so all this code will be executed, and once file reading is finished, which in this case, because there are only 7 employees, after Merido is read, after this point, this condition will become false. If I had more than 100 employees, then this condition would have become false. Don't have that much data right now. So, and then this EAL will be returned with list states and set to 1, which is disorder. Okay. And then we must close the fread because we may want to reuse it. And then I use the toString method system.out.println EAL to print it. So this part only tests that I'm able to put data from the input file and printed the console. Okay, so let's look at that. And you already saw the file. I'll show you one more time. It has 7, Masood, Gam, willy-nilly, Jill Quirk, Tootsuite, Adam Ben, John Doe, and Mary Doe. And of course, all these will be printed for you. Okay, so let's go. So I basically run that as Java application. And I remember I had already copied the full path to the file, so I can just paste that. And that's the file you're looking at. That's actually this file right here. In Mac you can copy the full path without any problem. And then I press the enter key, and there you go. Number of employees in the list is 7. List is unsorted on any basis. And let's scroll up and notice Masood Gam, willy-nilly, Jill Quirk, Tootsuite, Adam Ben, John Doe, and Mary Doe. All the records that were in the file here has been added to EAL and printed over here. Okay. All right. Now I want to test the print function by printing to an output file. First, let me show you the code for that. So I'm done with this. I'm going to fold that. This print function takes a print stream object which can be bonded to an output file and used print to the file. And it's actually pretty simple. I just run from index 0 to less than number of elements and simply print my list class, a list array that is part of the right here. Just print this list. Okay. And pass the PS object. Print to file already exists in the employee class, and that simply does ps.println this. Okay, so that does work reasonably well. When you do this, it just calls the toString version of the method. So that's how that works. you have already seen how the toString of a string class works, which is this big thing over here. All right. Okay. So let's test that. And in order to test this one, I'm gonna have to comment out this code here and explain this code to you. And let's see, yeah, list has to be built in order to be printed. So I'm gonna have to give it both file names, input and output this time. Input is already on my, well, actually, you know what? Let's just add them here as comment. Okay, Command V. So that's my input, and let's say output will be something similar, but I better fix that right now. So employee, I'm just going to call it out2. Employee out2. Okay, so I got both my paths. When I run the program, I can use either one. Okay, let me explain. I'm down to 11 minutes, 4 more minutes to run it, so that doesn't allow me more than 15 minutes recording time. That works very well because I can upload to the YouTube directly. Alright, so when I want to print to an output file, it'll ask me the full path to the output file. This line gets the output file name, entire name, and then I create a second file object, pass it the file name that I got here, and pass that file object to printstream f2, and then I call the print function, which you were just looking at a minute ago. Okay, this guy over here, this code is executed. This is part of the employee class, so that will fall to that one. And so basically this will print to the file whose name I'll be entering over here. And this is very important. You should close the print stream. If you don't do that, your buffer may not be flushed. Okay, I'm swaggering with my finger so that you remember that. If buffer is not closed, you may lose data. Okay, and so I'm going to have to enter these two file names. I'm going to first copy this one and give the system that one. Then I'm going to have to come back and copy that in order to get the second one. So, and let's see, in order to keep output kind of not too large, I'm going to comment that out. I don't need a list printed here. I can just look at the output file at that time. Okay, so let's run it. Input file path is needed. I paste that, and now as soon as I press the enter key, it's going to ask me for the output file name. Oh, okay, let me pause it. I made a slight mistake. I didn't have the slash copied. It needs a slash because we are working on a Mac. It needs a slash as well. So let's give it that this time. This time it will work. And there you go. Now enter the full path to the output file. Don't forget the slash on the Mac. And of course now I have to go and look at the output file, and output file is in my Finder, and it's right there, out2txt. And if I open it, okay, can we bump the font? There you go. And there's my output file. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 records have been added. Okay, gentlemen, recording system allows me only 15 minutes of recording each time. I'm about to hit that in a second. So we have discussed the get instance that allows us read the data from the file and print to file for the get employee class. So I'm ending this second video, and soon I'll see you in video number 3. Thank you.